This is my Honda Civic. It's a 1.4 litre, just a basic model, but it's about 15 years old now. So it's got some wear and tear on it, and I bought it off a friend for 375 quid. And I got it pretty cheap because it's old, and it had a blown rocker cover gasket that had put oil all over the engine and engine bay. And the general wear and tear of the car isn't that great. It's dirty, it's got rust starting to come through in certain places. Only surface rust, nothing major, no holes or anything like that. But just the wear and tear on it in general is quite bad. So I got it quite cheap, and I thought, well, it'd make a good little project car to do up and make some videos and put them on YouTube. This is the engine bay. You can see it's very oily and very dirty. The first thing I had to do was clean it, and that's covered in more detail in the previous video about cleaning a car engine, but I'll go over the basic steps. It involves soaking it all in WD-40, turning the engine on, making it warm and hot, and letting the oil just drip off, then spraying all the contacts with WD-40 and covering up the air filter, which I didn't do in this video, which I should have done, but lucky enough I was okay. And after that, jet washing the entire engine to get all the oil off and dirt off, just so I can see the rusty bits and bits I need to change, see them more clearly. But again, I go into more detail in the previous video about cleaning a car engine. This video is about engine detailing. So after you clean the car, how you can detail it, make it look nicer, clean parts up, polish some parts, spray other parts. As you can see, some of the engine came up really nice after I've cleaned it. Especially the aluminium block, or the aluminium engine itself came up really nice. And parts of the engine bay. Once you remove the dirt, you can see the rust more easy, so you can actually see what you're working with. I used a Hammerite product. They sell it in Halfords. It comes in like a two-stage process. One is this jelly material or jellified liquid that helps remove the rust, helps eat through the rust. And the second stage is a primer paint that stops the rust coming back through again. Well, this is the first stage, so all you do is you paint it on, you leave it for 10 minutes, and then you use a wire brush to scrape away any rust debris, and you repeat that process 2 or 3 times till you get to pretty much bare metal. So you paint it on. I used a wire brush on a drill, which made it a lot quicker. So then you add more chemicals, and then you leave it for 10 minutes, and then you wire brush it again. You do that 2 or 3 times, and then you get a nice surface area to put the Hammerite primer on. Getting a wire wheel on a drill is much easier than using just a wire brush. It makes the job so much quicker. This bit is just around the engine mount and where it started to rust, because water pools on that flat surface there, so you get some rust coming through there as well. I'm just adding some more of that jelly to it and agitating it a bit. I'm just going on the front of the engine bay and applying more of the chemical to the front of the engine where the bonnet catches. This is the Hammerite rust beater primer, they call it. And I'm just applying it. After you've done the chemicals, you have to clean the engine bay again, so you use some water and some detergent and make sure it's fully dry. And then all I've done is I've got a small paintbrush, and I've used the Hammerite and I've gone over the certain little areas by hand. Makes it more neater that way, and a bit more precise as well. It just neatens the whole engine up. I think it looks a lot better as well. And funny enough, the primer was pretty much the same colour as the silver paint itself. It was actually hard to notice what areas had primer on them. This is the bonnet itself, the underneath of the bonnet, and the bonnet catch. Here I'm just applying the primer to the engine bay As you can see, I finally did cover up that air filter, which I should have done in the earlier video. See, the engine looks a lot better already, just with the cleaning and the primering on all the little rusty bits. It looks a lot better already. See, I'm painting these parts of the engine with the Hammerite primer at the moment, but I will be painting them in a Hammerite black. I went to Halfords and I bought a can of spray paint for the Honda Civic. What you do is you've got two options if you go to Halfords. You can buy one off the shelf, which Halfords make, or you can go behind the counter and they can make up paint for you specifically. And you tell them your registration, the year of the car, and what colour it is, and they can mix it up for you there and then. And it is a slightly better paint. So I bought that. I think I got that for, I think it's normally like £15 for a can, where if you buy the one just off their shelf it's like £7 a can. And it did come out quite good. So after I put the Hammerite primer down, I just went over it with that spray can just to blend it in with the rest of the metal. I then took the rocker cover off and cleaned it off with acetone. So I got a bottle of acetone and I just cleaned it all off, and that just got all the grease and dirt off of it that was still remaining. But just clean it all up, making sure it's all dry, all clean, and then I'm going to spray it with a aluminium zinc paint, high temperature paint as well, because this part of the engine will get hot. So that's a high temperature zinc paint made to look like aluminium once it's finished. I gave it 2 or 3 coats with a flash time of about 20 minutes between each coat, and it came out really nice actually. It looked brand new once it was finished. I then got some red caliper paint from Halfords again, and I got a small paintbrush. I should have got a finer paintbrush actually, but I was in a rush and I just had this one lying about, so I used this one. And I decided to paint the Honda logo in red. I needed to go over it 2 times, so I left it overnight, and the next day I came back to it and I did another coat on top of it. And I did mess up, and I should have got a finer paintbrush as well. I did mess up in some places. As you can see, there is some red on the silver. So all I did after I've painted the red and the red had dried, so I leave it for another day, another 24 hours, I would then get the Honda silver paint, spray it into the cap of the can, and get the paintbrush and just go over the silver parts again, just with the paintbrush itself, just to neaten it up. That's the finished product on the car, and you can actually slightly see where I've used the paintbrush around the silver of the Honda symbol. I was a bit disappointed in that. I should have took my time a bit more with the red and applied the red with a smaller paintbrush, and actually took my time with it and got it done properly the first time rather than rushing it. Here the distributor cap is looking a bit old, so what I decided to do was I tried taking it off, but one of the plugs had actually somehow got stuck on there and I couldn't get it off. So I took it off from the main part of the engine and I covered it up with paper or masking tape. I sprayed it with the high temperature zinc paint to give it an aluminium finish. And here I'm just taking the bolts from the rocker cover and spraying them up with the same silver, just to make it look a lot neater. Now I'm going back over those engine parts I put the grey primer on. I'm painting them with a Hammerite black enamel paint with the paintbrush. Now I did get slight overspray from spraying the distributor caps silver, so all I've done is I got some graffiti remover and I went over all the parts that had slight overspray on them. I just painted them with graffiti remover, left it on there for 5 minutes, then washed it off, and everything was back to new basically. Now I've got the car in the garage at this point, and I've got it on axle stands because I was working on the suspension and doing some undersealing and undercoating on the bottom of the car. But while I was here, I bought some red aluminium parts. Here's the clip that the radiator clips onto, and this one's particularly rusty and lets the car down quite a lot, so I bought another one in red aluminium for, I think it was about £7, £6 or £7 anyway. It was cheap. It came from China. I think it came from China, I'm not too sure. But there's a rubber grommet that just stops vibration from happening, and so you need to take that out from the old one and put it in the new one. Taking it out was quite easy. I was expecting it to be hard. If it is hard, drop it in some boiling water to soften up the rubber, and you can squeeze it through. My one was quite easy to come off, but mine was hard to get back on. So what I decided to do was spray it with a bit of WD-40, and it just slid straight on into the new clip. It took me about 3 or 4 days to actually do all the detailing in the engine, and that's giving it time for different coats to dry, and for washing in between coats, just to make sure there's no contamination of oils, to make sure the paint will stick. But in that time I did other things on the car as well. For instance, when I wasn't working on the engine bay, I was working on the brake calipers or in the interior, things like that. The actual amount of work I've done is roughly about a day, maybe a day and a half of actual work, but it was spread over 4 days with flash times and drying and washing in between and stuff like that. Now, I could have done a lot more to this engine bay. I could have got the exhaust manifold, used a high temperature paint on that, or even polished it up. I could also have got an aluminium racing radiator, which costs roughly between £100 and £120, and would have fit straight into the engine bay there. It would have made it and make it look a lot more bright, but didn't have the money or the time to do it. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Honda videos. I will hopefully be doing more to this car in the future. Thanks for watching, and I hope this helped.